What's up, everyone? We're going to be going through the best NBA player props on Prizepicks today. Now, if you watched yesterday's YouTube video, we actually got 2 out of the 3 picks in that YouTube video correct, which I thought was fantastic. However, I did want to show you the results from yesterday's picks from my exclusive Discord group. Now, we had a decent day. We got 18 picks correct, but we are hoping to have a better day today. So, if you want to get 18 picks right like me, win more bets, and receive the best picks from some of the best bettors in the world for less than a cup of coffee, you can access the exclusive Discord and meet some of the best sport bettors in the game by joining my Patreon. Should be a link down below in the description. Once you join, you'll have complete access to the Discord and can start winning more bets today. So make sure to join my Patreon using the link in the description. And here's one of our members who just signed up and won himself $1,000 just yesterday. Another member who won $700 for the 5th day in a row since joining my Discord. So guys, if you want to win big money like our members, the link will be in the description. So go join the Patreon to have access to the Discord group. And I will be continuing to upload every single day on this channel the best bets and props. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my daily uploads. Also want to give a quick shout to Nero Fury WN9JN who said another day new play. Also shouts out to Peanut561 who said let's get this green, and shouts out to Southern Texas Twin who spammed up the love emoji. So shouts out to them, and if you do want to win a shout out in the next video, all you have to do is comment down below in this video and like it, and you can be in the running to win a shout out in the next one. Alright, so let's get straight into the first pick. When it comes to these picks, I'm not saying to chuck all of them into a parlay and hope for the best. Pick and choose the ones that you like and the ones that work best for you. So the first pick we're going to talk about is Andrew Nembhard, and this one is a fantastic one for 11 points, and this one actually is for less. Now looking at Andrew Nembhard, we've actually seen him go on the under in 2 out of the last 5 games. Now looking at those last 5 games, we see on May 14th faced off against Cleveland where he actually had 18 points there. After that, faced off on May 22nd against the New York Knicks in Game 1, and he had 15 points in that matchup. Then Game 2 on May 24th had 12 points. Then May 26th in Game 3 had 9 points. Then in Game 4 had 3 points on May 28th. So we have actually seen, Andrew Nembhard go on the under, like I mentioned, in 2 out of the last 5. And his average over the last 5 is also 11.4. So slightly above this line. Now, when we look at this next game, this obviously is a big game because this is Game 5 for Indiana, and they do face off against the New York Knicks. Now, the reason why this is a very crucial game is because Indiana are 1 win away from actually making the NBA Finals, and the reason why that's such a big thing is because this is going to be the first time Tyrese's, sort of group has made it to the Finals. So they are 1 win away. On top of that, looking on the New York Knicks side of things, New York are trying to keep their hopes alive. There have been teams that come back from 3-1. It is very difficult to do, but they are hoping that they can get it done and bring this back very, very quickly. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see that. Now, looking at both of these teams and how they did during the regular season, we did see Andrew Nembhard do a fantastic job for Indiana, but Indiana did come in at the 4th spot in the Eastern Conference with a record of 50-32. So they had a 61% win percentage, and also, they did have a really, really tough, first round and second round to make it to the conference finals. They faced off against the Milwaukee Bucks, who are ranked lower, but only 1 slot lower, and they are a really good team. They were able to knock them out, and on top of that, they also knocked out the number 1 seed Cleveland Cavaliers. So Pacers have definitely done, their due diligence and have got the job done in their first 2 rounds, and they are very close to finishing off the Knicks. Now, Knicks on the other side, they also had a really tough path to the actual Eastern Conference Finals. They faced off against a tough Detroit team where it definitely went down to the wire, and on top of that, they also faced off against the reigning champs Boston Celtics and were able to knock them out as well. So it's definitely been, a tough battle for both of these teams, and for them to get into this position, they both should definitely be proud of. But looking at this next matchup, a big reason why we do like the under for this situation here is due to the fact that when we actually look at the New York Knicks and when we look at them when it comes to points allowed, we do see that they rank 9th when it comes to points allowed. So that's a very big sign to us on why we do like the under for this situation here. Not only do they rank very, high high when it comes to restricting points, but they also do a fantastic job at restricting points to the small forward position. That's a big reason why we do very much like the under for this one. Now, when we look at, the 4 games that he has faced off against in, the playoff series so far, we have seen him go on the under in 2 out of those 4, so it's a straight split down the middle. But what we have seen is that he's actually gone on the under as time has gone on in this series. And a big reason being for that is that New York Knicks have made the right adjustments in order to, make that happen. Now, on top of that, Andrew Nembhard coming into this closeout game, we are expecting some of the stars from this team to actually have a little bit more usage rate. So I'm talking Tyrese Haliburton, Pascal Siakam, and such. And for that reason, we do very much like the under for someone like Andrew. We definitely see him playing more of a role player type role in this matchup. And because of that, we may not see him do too much of the scoring, especially on offense. So for that reason, we do very much like the under. Now, looking at Andrew Nembhard against New York Knicks during the regular season, we definitely saw a pretty similar picture. Now, looking at Andrew Nembhard, their first matchup against each other this year was actually, this season was on the 25th of actually October of last year. And he played 21 minutes in that matchup and had 2 points there. Then on the 11th of February, also faced off against each other, had 8 points in that matchup and also played 30 minutes. So definitely had a big game in that one. Now looking at someone like Andrew Nembhard, we have seen him go on the under in both of those games. So that's another telltale sign to us on why we do like the under for this one. So for that reason, we are sticking to the under. So Andrew Nembhard, 11 points for less, I think is a fantastic pick. Now getting into the next one, we're going to be talking about Jalen Brunson. So Jalen Brunson, great player as we all know, and this one is a fantastic one because this one is for assists for actually Jalen Brunson for actually 6.5, and this one is for more. Now looking at Jalen Brunson, we have actually seen him go on the over in 1 out of the last 5 games. Now looking at those 5 games, we see on May 17th faced off against Boston. In that closeout game, he actually had 6 assists there. Moving on from that, we also see in their first game against Indiana, we saw him have 5 assists there. In May 24th, in game 2, had 11 assists in that matchup. Then on May 26th, against Indiana again, had 1 assist in that matchup. And in game 4, most recent one, had 5 assists. So that was also on May 28th there. Now, the reason why we do like the over for this situation here, now just to reiterate, New York Knicks do face off against Indiana. But when we look at Indiana Pacers, we do see that Indiana Pacers do actually rank when it comes to assists allowed. They do rank 12. So they don't really, rank too well. They rank pretty mid-tier in that category. Now, a big reason why we do like the over for this situation here is that Pacers actually do struggle against restricting assists to the guard position. Now, when we look at Jalen Brunson, yes, he has struggled to get assists, but it hasn't really been him struggling to get assists. More, he's definitely focused a lot more on doing a majority of the scoring and not really being a playmaker for this team, especially in this playoff series. But we may see that change, and that's what we are expecting for in this game. Obviously, teams are all about making adjustments, and the fact that New York Knicks have everything against the wall right now, due to the fact that if they do lose this, they are completely out. We are expecting someone like Jalen Brunson to be more of a playmaker in this next game to give them a better opportunity and a different sort of strategy and game plan that can hopefully bring them to a 3-2 series. So for that reason, we are expecting a little bit of a different sort of play style from Jalen Brunson in this next game. We did see him get close at times. We did see in that game 1, he did get 5 assists, only missed it by 1.5. Obviously, May 24th in game 2 was able to go on the over, was also very close on going on the over. So, for that reason, we are still sticking to the over, even though that, when we look at his last 5, it hasn't really been showing that. Now, his average over the last 5 is 5.6 as well. But looking at Jalen Brunson actually against the Pacers throughout the regular season, we definitely saw some pretty interesting signs there. We saw on We actually saw him on October 25th. They faced off against each other, and he actually had 5 assists in that matchup. Then faced off again on the 10th of November and had actually 10 assists in that matchup, so was able to go on the over in there. And then again faced off against each other on February 11th, where he had 7 assists in that matchup. So we saw out of those 3 games, he was able to go on the over, and that's a telltale sign to us why we do like the over for this situation here, especially for someone like, Jalen Brunson, who usually does have a high usage rate in this department. So he definitely hasn't really had that sort of usage rate as of lately, and it's not really due to any sort of defensive strategy against him. It's more Brunson has been out there to try to do a lot and pretty much all the scoring for this team. It hasn't really gone too well as they are still down 3-1, so we are expecting a different sort of play style coming from them in this next game. So for that reason, I do very much like the over for someone like Jalen Brunson in this situation here. So keep an eye out for Jalen Brunson there. So Jalen Brunson assists, 6.5 assists at that. And this one is for more. Now getting into the next one, we're going to be talking about another great player, and that is none other than Myles Turner. So as you all know, Myles Turner, great player for none other than the Indiana Pacers. Like I mentioned, guys, there is only one game for today. There is only 3 teams left since Thunder did actually end up making to the finals, beating Timberwolves. So now this is the only game, so there's going to be a lot of overlap with the actual picks. But looking at this one, we do see, Myles Turner. This one's a great one for actually points as well, for 14.5, and this one actually is for less. Now looking at Myles Turner, we have seen him go on the under in 3 out of the last 5 games. Now this one's an interesting one. We actually have seen May 14th faced off against Cleveland, where he actually had 10 points in that matchup. Then May 22nd against New York Knicks had 14 points there. May 24th in game 2 had 16 points. Game 3 had 19 points against Knicks on May 26th. And then on top of that, on May 28th, had 13 points against the New York Knicks as well. So we have seen him go in the under, like I mentioned, in 3 out of the last 5 games. So, definitely on our side in that sense. Now, looking at the matchup, Indiana face off against New York Knicks, as we all know. Now, just to reiterate again with this matchup, New York Knicks, as we all know, did come in at the 3rd spot in the Eastern Conference, while the Indiana Pacers did come in actually at the 4th spot. So somewhat similar in a sense of spots. However, we did see both of these teams do a great job to get into the position, but obviously both are in a position where they were not the top team, and they shocked a lot of people, beating some certain teams in order to get them into this Eastern Conference Finals. So congratulations to both. But looking at Myles Turner, obviously, we do like the under for this situation here, because when we look at New York Knicks, as we've mentioned before, Knicks rank very good when it comes to points allowed. They do rank 9th. That's a big reason why we do very much like the under for this situation here. Now, looking at the New York Knicks, they just do a fantastic job at not only just restricting points, but also trying to slow down the pace of the game. Now, it hasn't always been successful, but we have seen more times than not that Knicks have actually done a great job at slowing down the Pacers. Now, we saw in the last matchup, Pacers were able to keep their pace, which I thought was really interesting because, we have seen throughout the other games during this series where Knicks have done a great job at slowing it down. And we are expecting that in this next game as well. We are expecting Knicks to really come out, try to slow down the pace as much as they can, and, have Pacers go down to their pace rather than, the other way around, which is what happened last game. So for that reason, we could see a little bit of less volume from Myles Turner in that aspect, but New York Knicks have always just done a great job at restricting points, especially to the big man position, and that's where we definitely see Myles Turner struggling there. Now, looking at Myles Turner, especially against New York Knicks throughout the regular season, we definitely have seen some interesting sort of, stat lines. We did see they face off against each other in October 25th. We actually had 13 points in that matchup. And then also in their next matchup after that, they faced off again in November, or 10th of November at that. He had 26 points in that matchup. So he did go on the under in one of the games. He went on the over in the other. So it's a 50-50 split there. But coming into this next one, especially in a playoff situation, we definitely see him going on the under here. Like I mentioned before, this is also a big closeout game for this team. And since it is a closeout game, what we are expecting expecting from actually Myles Turner is that he may not have the same amount of usage rate that we usually do see, because players like Tyrese, like Pascal, may take a little bit more of the points usage rate away from him. So for that reason, we do very much like the under for this one. When you look at what the bookies are saying, bookies also have him favored for the under as well. So Myles Turner, 14.5 points for less, I think is a fantastic pick. So as you all know, I do want to get these picks out to you as soon as possible, but Prizepicks is delayed with some of their lines. So here are a couple of players you should definitely watch out for when their lines drop. So the first player we're going to be talking about is none other than Miles McBride. Now, as you all know, Miles McBride is a great player from none other than the New York Knicks, and he has done a fantastic job during the regular season, because we saw him average 9.5 points, 2.5 rebounds, 2.9 assists, while also shooting 40.6% from the field. So he has done a fantastic job there. Now, he did rank 137th in points, 150th plus in rebounds, and then 84th when it came to actually assists. So he also still did a decent job there. Now, when we look at the New York Knicks, they do face off against the Indiana Pacers. Now, we all know that this series is a bit of a tough one, because New York Knicks do find themselves down 3-1 in the series. Now, anything can still definitely happen. They are looking to push to see if they can, claw this back to a game 7. And Indiana, on the other side of things, are looking to close it out and end this series now. So it's definitely going to be a tough battle until the end. And looking at both of these teams, just to reiterate again, the New York Knicks did come in at the 3rd spot in the Eastern Conference with a record of 51-31. So they had a 62.2% win percentage. So they actually ranked higher than Pacers, because Pacers did come in at the 4th spot with a 50-32 record. So a 61% win percentage there. So we definitely have seen him do a pretty good job when it comes to both of these teams. Pacers, on one hand, definitely had a great battle to make it into the Eastern Conference Finals. They beat the Bucks in round 1, and they also knocked out, the top team, which were the Cleveland Cavaliers. On the other side of things, New York Knicks also had themselves a very good series when it came to round 1 and round 2. They had 6, they faced off against the 6th spot, which were the Pistons, and also beat the actual number 2 spot, which were the Boston Celtics. So we definitely saw on both sides of the equation that both of these teams definitely deserve to be here, but Knicks do find themselves down 3-1 in the series. Now, looking at Indiana Pacers, we do see that Indiana Pacers do rank when it comes to points allowed. They do rank 17th. When it comes to assists allowed, we also do see that the Pacers rank 12th, and then rebounds allowed, we also do see that, the Pacers do rank pretty worse, I would say, in that sense, as they do actually rank 22nd. So, they rank really, really low in that category. Now, when it comes to Miles McBride, we do very much still like the under for this situation here. Now, a big reason being is that when it comes to actually Pacers, they actually do a fantastic job at restricting points, rebounds, and assists to the second unit. So, we actually have seen this happen, throughout this whole series. Pacers have just done a great job at defending the second unit, and Miles McBride is a part of that second unit. He is usually running that point guard, sometimes can move to the 2 if Jalen Brunson's out there, but when it comes to Pacers, they just definitely have done a great job there. But another big reason why we do like the under for this situation here is that when it comes to the New York Knicks, and especially in a closeout game like this, we tend to see the stars take a little bit more of the usage rate away, especially from the role players. The role players are really out there just to make up the 5 players out there on the floor, and they usually are just a supporting act when it comes to just playing great defense. And we have seen that from Miles McBride throughout this whole series, and also just throughout the playoffs. You see Brunson, you see Karl Anthony Towns, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, they do most of the heavy lifting, and Miles McBride, when he does come out there on the floor, he does provide a little bit here and there, but definitely not enough to see him go over on his lines. And that's a big, big reason why we do very much like the under for this situation here. Now, looking at someone like Miles McBride over the last 5 games, we definitely have seen that happen, or it's been very evident. We saw in game 6 against Boston, where he had a 119-81 win. He had 10 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist there. Then in game 1 against Indiana, where they lost 138-135, had 9 points, 1 assist, and 2 rebounds there. After that, game 2 we saw against Indiana, had 5 points, 2 assists, and 1 rebound there. Game 3, 106-100 win. We had 9 points, 0 assists, and 0 rebounds. So, we definitely have seen him go on the under occasionally. And then in Game 4, also went, 130-121 loss, had 3 points, 2 rebounds, and 0 assists. So, when it comes to Miles McBride and also the New York Knicks, they find themselves in a very, very tough spot. In a closeout game like this, we are expecting, the other star players to take a lot more of the usage rate, and we could see someone like Miles McBride go on the under here. So for that reason, keep an eye out for his line. I see a lot of value there to go on the under, especially if the line is too close to his averages. Now getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about TJ McConnell. So TJ McConnell, great player, as we all know. He's done a fantastic job all season, but we do very much like this one because we actually do see that TJ has averaged throughout the regular season 9.1 points, 2.4 rebounds, 4.4 assists, while also shooting 51.9% from the field. So he's definitely done a fantastic job there. We see him ranked 144th when it came to points, 150th plus when it came to rebounds, and then 50th when it came to actually assists, and then 22nd when it came to field goal percentages. So we definitely have seen him do a fantastic job there. Now, when we look at someone like TJ McConnell, we definitely see something pretty interesting because looking at the matchup, which we do know, Indiana do lead the series 3-1. We do see that New York Knicks do actually rank when it comes to points allowed. They rank very well as they rank 9th. When it comes to assists allowed, they also do rank pretty decent as they rank 7th. And then rebounds allowed, they do rank 2nd. So, New York Knicks have always been a great defensive team. They've always been a very, very good defensive team in all sort of categories, and that's a big reason why we do very much like the under for this situation here. Now, when it comes to someone like TJ McConnell, however, we do very much like the under, however, strictly for assists. Now, I think there is still a capability to see him go on the under in points and rebounds, but the one that we are really liking is specifically assist, especially dependent on where his line comes out of. And the big reason being is that when it comes to TJ McConnell, yes, he is out there on the floor, but we actually have seen his usage rate fallen quite a bit, especially this series. And on top of that, a closeout game, like I mentioned before, star players take over, and we are expecting that with TJ McConnell. So it's not taking away that we could see him go on the under in points and rebounds. I just definitely do like the assists just a tad bit more. But like I always mention with these ones, you just kind of want to see what the lines that they are going to be giving you and make your adjustment and make your call from there, whether you like it or not. Now, looking at his last 5 games, we see that, in Game 5, faced off against Cleveland, 114-105 win. He had 0 points, 2 assists, and also 3 rebounds there. Then in Game 1 against New York Knicks, had a 138-135 victory in OT. He had 10 points, 2 assists, and 4 rebounds in that matchup. Then in Game 2, 114-109 win, where he had 10 points, 4 assists, and 2 rebounds there. Then in Game 3, had 12 points, 3 assists, and 3 rebounds with a 106-100 loss. And then on Game 4, had a 6.3 assists, a 0 rebound performance with a 130-121 win. So, on some of those games, he has gone on the under in points and rebounds. Other games have gone on the over, but you actually do see in his assists, he actually went on the under compared to his averages in all of those 5 games. So that's a big reason why we do like the under for this one. We are expecting a similar situation and a similar outcome coming into this next game. So for that reason, keep an eye out for TJ McConnell. We see a lot of value there to go on the under, especially when it comes to his assist line. So keep an eye out for the line. If it is too close to his averages, then definitely look to go on the under. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about Obi Toppin. So Obi Toppin, great player, as we all know, from the Indiana Pacers. Now, he has done a fantastic job during the regular season because we have seen him average 10.5 points, 4 rebounds, 1.6 assists, while also shooting 52.9% from the field. So he's done a fantastic job there. We also do know that, we've actually seen him rank 114th in points, 110th in rebounds, and 150th in assists. Now, he did also rank 16th in field goal percentage, which I thought was great. Now, obviously, we do know that Pacers are currently up 3-1 in the series. And when we look at the Knicks and the Pacers matchup, looking at Knicks defensively, just to reiterate again, Knicks ranked 9th in points allowed. They also ranked 7th in assists allowed. and then also ranked second when it comes to rebounds allowed. Now, when it comes to someone like Obi Toppin, we do very much like the under for this situation here. Now, when it comes to OB, I would definitely focus a little bit more on points and rebounds. A reason being is that I highly doubt there will be a line out for assists. Now, there could be a lot of value there, but I would probably expect that line, if I was to go on the under, to be around that 1.5 range. Okay, when it comes to points and rebounds, I think if they are definitely too close to those, you can definitely look to go on the under. I think assists, he may not really have a line out, so that's the one that you may not really see there. But I think points and rebounds, he definitely has a capability. Now, a big reason being for this is, like I've mentioned before, I've mentioned with a lot of the other role players, the star players are going to take over this game. Pascal, also have other players like Tyrese Halliburton, just to name a few. So, when you look at someone as well as Naismith, who's taken a lot more of the shots, Obi Toppin, is really much out there just to provide that extra body, that extra defense that they need at times. But a lot of the usage rate is going to be left to the other players for sure. So that's a big reason why we do very much like, the under for this situation here for someone like Obi. Now, when we look at his last 5 games, we definitely see some pretty interesting stat lines. You see on game 5 against Cleveland, where he had a 114-105 win. He had 5 points, 3 assists, and 3 rebounds in that matchup. Then in game 1, 138-135 win in overtime. He had 8 points, 10 rebounds, and 0 assists there. Then in game 2 against New York Knicks, had a 114-109 win, where he had 4 points, 2 assists, and also 2 rebounds there. Then in game 3, had a 106-100 loss, where he had 8 points, 4 rebounds, and 0 assists there. So definitely an interesting one in that matchup. Now, we also do see when it actually comes to, Obi Toppin in game 4, 130-121 win, 5 points, 2 assists, and 2 rebounds. So it's definitely been a lot of the under for Obi Toppin, especially when it comes to the situation that he has been in, which is, him pretty much being more of a supporting role than anything else. So for that reason, we do very much like the under for this situation here for someone like Obi Toppin.